Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're going into another Scorpio video. I'm feeling Scorpio whispery today, so I'm gonna be sharing with you some Scorpio secrets, and I never expose Scorpios too much because I know that would be horrible and I would never want to hurt a Scorpio. So let's go into the video. We're gonna be looking at Scorpio compatibility today. This was highly requested, and I will say this is the deepest and the darkest love that a Scorpio can experience with another Scorpion. And I know that some people are gonna be like, Denise, that's toxic. And I'm not gonna say it's toxic or it's not toxic, but Scorpio wouldn't have it any other way. Scorpio wouldn't have a love that wasn't tumultuous, that wasn't deep, that wasn't a little bit troublesome. If it's not a little bit dangerous, Scorpio's not gonna be at full Scorpio wood. So let's get into the video, guys. First, we're gonna look under the hood. We're gonna look at Scorpio, the sign itself. We're gonna take it apart and look at the symbolism. Then we're gonna be looking at the highs, the real good stuff that happens when a Scorpio and a Scorpio come together. Then we're gonna be looking at the lows, the bad and the dark, and the caveats that we really need to look out for when we have two Scorpions coming together. But without further ado, let's get into the breakdown. So Scorpio is a sign that is fixed water. So what is it? Let's take that apart. Water is emotion, it is intuition, it is connection, it is, you know, the intimate subtle bonds that we have between people. All of that is water. And fixed water, the fixed modality, really doesn't want to change. It doesn't want things to be any other way. It is protective, it protects itself, and in that way it is proud. It is proud of what it represents. It is not moving. It doesn't want to budge, it doesn't want to give, it wants to remain constant. So you put those things together, and what Scorpio really wants is a bond that is deep, intimate, and absolutely unshakable. They want something that is going to be unbreakable, that nothing could come between, because it is just so tight. It is just so tightly wound up and tangled, and it doesn't move. That is what Scorpio wants out of love. So Scorpio is of the nature of Pluto, but ruled by Mars. So I do include symbolism of both. So if you don't know the difference between Pluto and Scorpio, then I'm gonna be making a video about that so stay tuned for that. It's gonna be coming up very soon, so just FYI. So Pluto is associated with Hades, the god of the underworld. Pluto is dark, it's intense. It is very intuitive, but whereas Neptune is intuitive and looking for light, Scorpio is intuitive and looking for darkness. They are looking to pierce through anyone's veils that they're trying to conceal any sort of darkness. Scorpio goes right through that and slithers right in and is able to see people's ulterior motives. They're really good at knowing people's motivations because of that Pluto element. And this is what makes them attracted to darkness and to people who have been through some darkness. They are able to see people's darkness very easily. But they're also ruled by Mars, and Mars is a passionate, assertive, aggressive planet. And this is what makes Scorpios so passionate. So even though they're a water sign, it's like they're a hot water sign. There's a lot of, even though fixed water should be an iceberg, yes, it's a frozen body of water, but the Mars element really gives them some heat, and that's that passion that Scorpio can have. That's why that's the only fire sign that will fight you. Like, even though Cancer can be pretty feisty, but Scorpio is, you know, they have that fiery warrior element to them as well because of the Mars. So in relationships, they want something that is going to be passionate and deep and intimate, but more than anything, they want all of these things to remain constant. They want to have something that is absolutely unshakable. That is really what they're looking for. They're looking for the one person that they can bond with, because remember that Scorpio is all about just having a very perfect union, just having one person and the other coming together and melting, and they have this urge to merge. They want to merge with somebody else and just melt into one, into a perfect union that is absolutely unshakable. That is what Scorpio wants. So when they come together with another Scorpio, that is really what they have the potential of finding this relationship, this perfect union that is unshakable. So what works really well between two Scorpios? So obviously that they're going to understand each other in a way that nobody else can. Even though Pisces, with their intuition, they're really able to get in somebody else's shoes, they will not have experienced the kind of darkness that Scorpio is familiar with. You guys know that you guys have some intense dark emotions. So meeting with another Scorpio who has some of this darkness to them as well is going to really make you feel in your element, like you are seen and you're accepted, and not like they're seeing your darkness and being like, oh, I love you anyway, but somebody who's gonna be like, I love you because of your darkness. I don't love you despite it. I don't look past your darkness. I see your darkness and I love it because you have that darkness in you. I love that in you. Because Scorpio, that is what Scorpio loves. Scorpio loves people's like broken pieces, people's pain, people's trauma, people's scars. That is what Scorpio loves. So when you're bringing two people together who love that in others, then they're gonna really be able to see that in each other and be like, you know, I love you because of this. I don't love you despite it. Also, this is going to be a very intuitive bond. The one is not going to have to pry into the other. Scorpios hate it when people ask them questions, and even though they want to share, they have this like, they want to share, but they don't like people to pry because they're so private. But when you're bringing two Scorpios together, you guys know that you're so intuitive and you don't need people to tell you their darkness. You already know. You know that when you see somebody and they've been through some shit, you know it. So when you're bringing two Scorpios together, they're really going to see this in them and respect that. Respect the silence. Respect the fact that you don't talk about your past, or that there's certain experiences that you've had that you don't like to talk about, that they're important to you and that they formed who you are, but you don't really want to be asked. The other person isn't going to ask. They're just gonna kind of silently understand it. Another thing, remember I said that the fixed signs are proud, and Scorpio is proud of their loyalty, of just the fixedness of their feeling and their love. They're very proud of that. So you're bringing two people together who are proud of that. This is going to be a very indestructible bond because it becomes a thing like, you just cannot leave because you promised and you swore and you showed and you said that your love was so true and so like unbreakable. You just are not going to walk away from that because all the fixed signs, like I said, like their word is their signature. Like they live up to their word. So that Scorpio is going to live up to that. And you have two people that are very committed to that, to showing the other that they are fully loyal, because they love showing other people how loyal they are and how like ride or die they are. This is the ultimate ride or die pairing. Another thing is that Scorpio knows exactly what they want. They wouldn't go after somebody for love if they weren't sure that they wanted them and that they trusted them. So once you two come together, then you could fully trust in the other that you guys see something there that is deep and that you're willing to be vulnerable with each other. Because if a Scorpio approaches you and opens up, it means that they trust you being vulnerable with you. And that is a huge thing for Scorpio because again, remember that they want that intimacy, that closeness, but it's difficult for them to open up because they don't want somebody to invade them and take advantage of them and take their power. So when they actually trust you and they're vulnerable with you, then that could be the sign for the other person to be like, this person is trusting me and they're opening up to me, so I'm gonna have to hold space for them and really respect what they're doing and reflect it back to them. So it becomes a thing where, which leads me to the next point, you could really grow when you are in a Scorpio-Scorpio relationship because as we know, Scorpio is one of the most like problematic signs that gets a lot of like hate for like, oh, you know, toxic Scorpios, but really it's because when something is so dark and unconscious like Pluto is, it's difficult to bring awareness to it, but the more awareness you bring to it, the better it'll be. So you're gonna have two people that hopefully are going to try to evolve from all those stages that Scorpio goes through, you know, from the snake all the way to the phoenix to the eagle. So it's two people that hopefully are going to go on that journey together and that are going to, because everybody's going to get into issues, right? So you're gonna get into power struggles and battles, but hopefully the idea here is that if you're like a more evolved Scorpio, that you're able to help each other evolve and move along your path and really just be there for each other along those steps on the journey. And lastly, like this one goes without saying, but I know people want me to talk about it, sex. The sex is gonna be incredible because you're taking two people who are going to value sex at the same level and who are going to like push the envelope, the whole taboo thing with Scorpios. So you're gonna have two people that are into that and they could really share that with somebody who isn't going to judge them. Other people who wouldn't judge would be like Pisces, Gemini. They're not gonna judge a Virgo, a little bit kinky too. So we don't kink shame on this channel. So Scorpios are really going to be able to explore that with each other. And when they show some vulnerability, another Scorpio is going to see it and is going to recognize it and is really going to be into it. So now let's talk about the lows, the low lows and the caveats here. So the first thing that you want to pay attention to is, where are you on your level of development as a Scorpio? Because I think that the first step is understanding that Scorpios, probably all water signs actually, Cancer and Scorpio the most, I would say, because they're the most combative. Don't get offended, Cancer, I love you. But you guys are the most combative of the water signs. So if you know that you can have an issue with emotional reactivity, then you have to learn to gauge where you are on this path of being unshakable. Because remember, that is where Scorpio is evolving to. Scorpio is evolving into this person who's kind of like a Jedi and can't be fucked with. So where are you on this journey? Where are you on this path? And if you recognize that you are strong enough, mature enough, wise enough to be in a relationship with another Scorpio, and kind of if you're the more evolved one, you have to kind of take one for the team and be like, okay, I'm not going to use my powers for evil, and I'm going to allow this person to kind of tire themselves out and be like, hey, like, I see what's going on here, and talk to them about their more negative Scorpio traits like manipulation. And you guys know this is not a stereotype. You guys have a lot of power, and it is unspoken. And it's kind of funny like talking about it, because it's not like I'm exposing anything, because I'm just telling you, you guys know that you have this power within you to have people feel a certain way or think a certain way. And you could kind of corner people with this power that is very subtle. It's very subliminal. You're not doing anything. Use this power for good. Use this power to make yourself strong, and just appreciate that you have this, but don't use it for bad things. So be the more mature Scorpio. Be the one that is able to help the other one. And along the same vein, I will say that I feel like there's going to be one Scorpio who is going to have to be the more dominant one, the more like yang or yang and to the yin, right? And what I mean by this is, Scorpios, you guys don't really get into situations where you feel like you're going to be overtaken. You always like to feel like you have a little bit of control. And it's going to, this is like very, like, it sounds like very BDSM to me, but it's like one person is going to have to agree to top from the bottom. One of the Scorpios is going to have to agree to it. And usually it's going to be the Scorpio who has like the moon one, or the Neptune Scorpio, or the Pisces Scorpio, the more watery one, the more feminine watery one. That's the one who's going to have to agree to top from the bottom, which is still a powerful place, but it's not going to be the overtly like, you know, in control one in the pair. Because whenever you're talking about Scorpios, there's going to be issues with power and the giving and the receiving of power and the, you know, taking turns and all of that. So just be aware of that and do it in a way that is healthy and that is acceptable to both of you. Now I just want to talk a little bit about the different kinds of Scorpios, because nobody is fully a Scorpio. Even though I just read for somebody who had freaking everything in Scorpio in the first house, but everybody has a little bit of something else. So if you have a Scorpio that has air, like a Gemini or Mercury Scorpio, this is what I call Jafar. You guys are the ultimate sorcerers. You guys are so smart, because the water signs are very intelligent in emotional intelligence. And the reason why I find this so valuable is because the world has not caught on. The world hasn't caught on to the fact that emotional intelligence is so important, because you know, you can maneuver things, you could change a room, you could change an environment, you could change people's opinions based on the ability that you have to move emotions, right? But the world hasn't caught on to that. So nobody really expects that a watery person is so smart. So when you combine freaking the powers of Gemini and Mercury with a Scorpio, this person is a sorcerer, the ultimate sorcerer. And I just can only respect and bow down to them. Then you have the more moony and Neptunian, the more feminine sort of Scorpios that have that sort of energy. And these are the people that are going to do the whole topping from the bottom. If you don't know what that is, just Google it. I'm not going to explain it, but essentially it just means that you agree to let somebody else have the control, but it's really a very powerful position to have. It just is. And lastly, then you have your Mars Scorpios, the ones that have like Mars or Aries energy, or like Pluto Mars. These are going to be the more overtly aggressive and in control, like they need to have control, or you know, they're gonna freak out. So this kind of energy needs to be used in a way that is more physical, so that it doesn't like linger, so that you don't go around controlling people, because nobody likes that. We're in 2021 and we don't control each other because that's bad behavior, Scorpio. So you need to let this out in another way. You can do martial arts, or you can just things, you know, other things. So that's the video for today, guys. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments too. If you're looking for a reading, I do readings. When people ask me like, Denise, do you do readings? I'm like, what do you think this is? This is a business. This is my storefront. Yes, I absolutely do readings. If you have some questions about your significant other, I'm down to look at their chart. If you have some questions about your own chart, I do natal readings. I do solar returns, a little bit of everything. Just go to my website if you're interested. Check it out. So that's the video. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.